Hello there, Jill speaking. How are you? So I brought the camera in a little bit closer and I've brought it down a bit lower just because I wanted to show you something that's fairly average in a lot of the bones in the spine. And if you can understand that, then when you begin to start to look, if you go somewhere to look at a skeleton, you can begin to start to identify some features. So this piece here, this thing that's been put in, it's just a spacer. So when they've put this skeleton together, they've put these in just to fill the spaces really. Your discs don't really look like that, but anyway. So we won't worry about that for now. But if you have a look here, if I'm pointing to this bit here, you can see there's this big sort of chunky piece at the front. You can see that. If I just turn the skeleton around a little bit, there you go. You can see you've got this chunky bit here. So this is called the body of the vertebra. So this is called the body. And then if you have a look behind, you can see there's a space. You can see where I can put my fingers in. There. And there's a space, and then you have these pieces that stick out at the back and stick out at the sides. So if I turn the skeleton round, you can start to see you've got these pieces that stick out at the back here, and then you've got these bits that stick out at the sides. Now, there are variations obviously in size between the vertebra down here at the bottom and the ones up at the top. If you were to look at the body of the vertebra of the one up at the top here, it's much smaller. Basically because you haven't got as much weight to support up the top. Down the bottom here, you've got quite a bit of weight to be supported. So this piece of bone here is responsible really, it's like it's a lot of weight transference goes through. The pieces that stick out around the back here, you've got shapes. Now remember we talked a little bit before about the joints, and you have joints in your spine. So you have quite a complexity of joints in the spine. But what's important to remember is that the actual joints, if you like, the main joints that we can think of, you've got the, if you like, the articulation between one vertebra and the next vertebra at the body, and then you've got the pieces that come out around the back, and you've got joints either side. So you've got on one of these bones that sits out, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Joints, which is quite a few, and as I say, they make a joint with the one above and the one below. So the actual number of joints is quite extensive. If we were to start multiplying up the number of bones and the number of joints, etc., etc., it's quite complicated. And of course, the muscles attach to the outside, so the bones are inside the muscles. So the bones are inside the muscles, and the muscles actually attach to the bones. And when the muscles pull from one attachment to another, and that's because of the electrical activity that goes out through your brain and nervous system, etc. So your brain and nervous system come out to send little messages through your system, through a little bit of electrical activity goes down and fires off that muscle. So the messages are coming out through your brain, your nervous system, some of it, the junctions are in the spinal cord, etc., etc., all quite complicated. But just for simplicity, let's just talk about, say, a muscle. This is hypothetical. Supposing a muscle went from here to here, so it just went from there to there, and a message went, it would just tend to pull those 2 points together, all right? So, but the bones themselves, if you're looking at the bones down here, the body of the vertebra, which is this piece at the front here, you can see it's really quite big. It's quite a big chunky thing, you know, it's quite a big chunky thing, and so sometimes people feel this, they run their fingers down their back here, and they sort of feel this little bit out, you know, it's inside the flesh, etc. They've got all the muscle and tissue and fat, etc. and they feel it and they just feel the end. And somehow they think that's where their back, their spine, their vertebra is. And it's not, it's a long way in, it's a long way further inside. And remember, this is a female skeleton, so this would be quite a slight, probably slight person. So, you know, the centre of this part of the spine is almost sort of, it's a long way in. It's a long way into the person. I'll see if I can find a picture that shows you that. But it's this, when you run your fingers down your back and you feel the little bumps, you're only just feeling a little bit towards the tip of here. The actual big part, the chunky part that takes all the weight is way deeper inside you. So it's a lot further inside, and the bones are really quite large. So there we go.